friend of mine betrayed me. I dreamed about the Punisher every night. He thinks that he has the right to judge me. I want him to feel what I felt.
Well, I just want to say congratulations on another great season with a lot of compelling character work. And so, where season 1 really explored the PTSD of soldiers returning from war, in season 2, that exploration is kind of taken a step further with just victims of trauma in general. And we see it most visibly in both of your characters, especially with Billy, obviously with traumatic brain injury, but we also get a little bit with you having been shot by Billy. I'm just curious as to what resources you both seeked out in regards to that and how you were able to get into the headspace of a victim like that.
Well, for me, a big part of it is understanding the mental process that she would be going through. And I do a bit of work with mental health charity. So understanding the kind of causes and then how that manifests itself, that was a big part of it for me. Mm-hmm. And then another part is kind of talking to people. You talk to people that have been through different things, not necessarily being shot in the head by the man you loved, but it's kind of people's own human experiences that you can draw upon. And then the third aspect, obviously, discussing with the writers and getting their kind of ideas on it.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and especially for you, I mean, you like the whole thing with the masks and really diving deep into traumatic brain injury. How'd you kind of go about that?
You've been on my Twitter.
Yeah, I did. I saw the article.
Well, I just thought it was, it was kind of in response to seeing some of the reactions to the look for Billy in the second season, and I kind of wanted to go a little way to sort of justify why we did it the way that we did it.
Sure.
And just sort of, my first stop was my mum is a psychotherapist, so to have those sort of therapy dynamic, I was to speak to her about that. And then my dad is a professor of schizophrenia, he's a psychiatrist, so he's dealt with a lot of people with mental illnesses in particular, but also has come across, kind of frontal lobe damage and things like that. So,
right.
So that was kind of my first stop for kind of the broad strokes, if you like. And then, talking to Steve Lightfoot, our showrunner, who gave me a lot of those articles, that we were just trying to ground it in something. There's a sort of military history to this show, so to ground it in something like that, like you said about the show being about trauma and about coming back from war in the first season, but actually about re-assimilating into society is about what the second season is about for Frank. As well as for Billy, but obviously Billy is starting from a place where he has no idea who he is, what society he's in, or what he's trying to do in it. Yeah. But he just has these abiding memories of abuse. He has the abiding memories of abandonment, and so that's what's kind of fueling his kind of rage, and then these kind of like this sort of nightmarish skull, which is the kind of the more superhero element. So we're trying to be faithful to. For the comic book lovers, and also just twist it and give something fresh. I think that's with so many TV shows that it's your responsibility to make something a bit different from what you've already done.
And he has an army. Frank, people are gonna die.
Well, and kind of speaking of that, I mean, you two are obviously so intertwined. Obviously, having the relationship in the first season, and then what goes down at the end of the first season. The tension between your characters, it's carried over, and it's constantly building up this go-around. And it made for some rather palpable confrontations, I thought. So what do you do to prepare and make those moments feel so like intimately fueled by rage?
Oh, that's a good question.
You got to stretch.
Yoga.
Always stretch.
Yeah. The rage of it. I guess you just try to be as emotionally truthful as you can to it. We all work differently in terms of our training and in terms of how we approach the script. But for me, it's kind of, you look at the past experiences as much as you can, try to find something from that and interpret that into what you're doing. There's the great scene where I finally do see him in my apartment. And I just remember, it's funny because a big part of our characters, for both of us, is you know, you're in the costume and the makeup, you're going through your couple of hours or longer than that, I don't know, each day. And it really does, you transform during that time. So, you know, in the mornings we're Amber and Ben, and then
but we'd also built up a particular intimacy from the first season. You know, you've got those kind of intimate scenes, and you've got to sort of build up a trust with each other. And then, you know, in the second season, the first time we see each other properly, there's no recognition of that whatsoever, and it's quite an intense set to be on anyway. I think John leads from the front in terms of, I remember in the first season we finished filming sometimes at 11 o'clock at night, and he'd be like, I'm going to the gym, you coming? I'd be like, yeah, no, definitely, I'll come with you.
Yeah.
And you know, a really enthusiastic kind of stunt teams who just like want it to be brutal, and they want to, you know, give it their all as well. And you know, and Steve, our showrunner, all the writers, they want to make it as intricate and kind of grounded and brutal as they possibly can, psychologically as well. And so you know, you're chasing that intensity on a set as well.
Awesome. Well,
But the trust,
oh yeah, for sure,
that's
for
a
sure.
big part of it, I think.
Got some serious issues.
Let me be what I'm meant to be.